Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that might seem, strictly for the finance folks.
Mhm.
But honestly, the insights here are, well, they're universal truths about how we operate, especially under pressure.
Definitely.
We're getting into Mark Douglas's classic book, The Disciplined Trader, Developing Winning Attitudes, which came out way back in 1990.
A foundational text, really.
Exactly. And what's key here is that Douglas isn't really focused on, like, complex strategies or indicators.
No, not the technical stuff primarily.
Right. He zeroes in on the psychology, the mindset you need. And here's the kicker, the central idea.
Mm-hmm.
Traders often fail, not because their system is bad,
Uh-huh.
but because they lack mental discipline. They react emotionally. So our mission today, to unpack how controlling yourself, not the market, is the actual path to success.
And how those lessons apply way beyond trading.
Absolutely. Right into your everyday life.
And it's amazing how relevant this book still feels. Douglas really nailed something timeless about human nature versus the markets.
He really did. It's that inner game people talk about.
Mm-hmm. Mastering yourself is the only real edge, the only thing you can control.
Okay, so let's unpack this right from the start. Douglas says, look, markets are inherently uncertain. Short term, they're pretty random, chaotic even.
Yeah, unpredictable.
So what do most people do? They try to control that chaos externally. They chase news, look for the perfect signal.
Trying to predict the unpredictable.
Exactly. But Douglas says that's fundamentally the wrong way to go about it. Control has to be internal. And then he drops the statistic. It's kind of mind-blowing. He says success is like 80% psychology.
And only 20% mechanics, yeah.
20%. Think about that.
It totally flips the script, doesn't it? You
Yeah.
spend all this time learning charts and strategies, and he's saying that's only a small piece of the puzzle. Now, maybe the exact number 80-20 is debatable, but the core point,
The principle.
the principle is solid. You can know what to do, but if you can't execute consistently because your mind gets in the way, well, you're stuck.
It's like knowing the rules of chess but falling apart emotionally mid-game.
Precisely. It's about doing what, under fire. That internal mastery is huge.
So if controlling the market is an illusion, what are these internal roadblocks Douglas sees? What's this internal battlefield he talks about?
Well, the big one he starts with is fear.
Right. Fear of losing money, obviously, but he digs deeper, doesn't he?
He does. It's often this underlying fear of simply being wrong, that need to be right.
Ah, okay. And how does that play out?
It leads to hesitation. You see your signal, but you freeze. Or you jump out of a good trade way too early.
Because you're scared it'll turn against you.
Exactly. Or you just avoid taking trades altogether. You second guess everything. It's self-sabotage driven by trying to avoid that feeling of being wrong or losing.
Okay, so fear is massive. What else?
Then there's this illusion of control. Because the market feels chaotic, we crave certainty.
Right. We want to feel safe.
So traders try to impose control. They might overtrade, thinking more activity equals more control, or they move their stop losses.
Oh, yeah. Chasing the trade, hoping it'll come back.
Yeah, refusing to accept a small loss, which then often turns into a much bigger one. Douglas really hammers this. The only control you have is over your own actions and reactions.
Not the market's movement.
Never the market's movement. And tied into this is the role of beliefs. This is fascinating.
How so?
Douglas argues our deep-seated beliefs about money, success, failure, even our own self-worth. They subconsciously drive our behavior in the market.
So, like, if deep down you believe you don't deserve success.
You might unconsciously sabotage winning trades. Or if you believe money is somehow bad, you might struggle to hold on to profits. Your internal script dictates your external results.
Wow. So it's not just about learning trading techniques. It's about examining your own psychology.
Deeply. And then there's perception and interpretation.
Meaning?
Two traders look at the exact same chart. One sees a buy signal, the other sees a sell signal. Why?
Their past experiences, their biases.
Exactly. Their personal history, their current emotional state, it all colors how they interpret neutral market data. Success requires developing a more objective, neutral viewpoint.
Okay. Makes sense. And the last big one.
Responsibility and accountability. This is crucial. You have to own your results, period.
No blaming the broker or the news or market manipulation.
None of that. That's victim thinking. Douglas says you have to accept full responsibility for wins and losses. That's where the power to change and improve comes from.
Taking ownership.
Absolutely. And, as we talk about these Fear, control, beliefs, responsibility, these aren't just trading problems, are they?
No, not at all. That's what's so powerful about this.
If you step back, you see these exact same struggles everywhere. Procrastination, performance anxiety in sports or arts, relationship patterns.
Uh-huh. The fear of failure, trying to control things we can't, those limiting beliefs we carry around.
They're fundamentally human challenges. Which brings us to, well, how do you actually overcome these? How do you move forward?
Right. And Douglas provides a kind of roadmap for this journey. He outlines 3 stages traders typically go through.
Okay.
First is the mechanical stage. This is the beginner phase. You're focused entirely on the how-to, the charts, the software, finding a system.
All external mechanics, looking
Oh.
for that magic formula.
Exactly. Psychology isn't really on the radar yet.
Yeah.
It's all about strategy and making money, supposedly.
Right. Then what?
Then comes the subjective stage. This is where things get messy.
Yeah.
Your own judgment, your emotions, they
Mhm.
start interfering with your mechanical system.
So this is where the fear, the greed, the hope, the revenge trading, all that stuff comes in.
Precisely. You know your rules, maybe, but you don't follow them because you feel something different. Douglas says this is where most traders wash out.
Because they can't handle the emotional roller coaster. The psychological pressure becomes too much.
They lack that internal discipline we talked about. So the goal, the final stage, is the objective stage.
The ideal state.
Yeah, where you operate with emotional neutrality. You're consistent. You act like a, quote, market observer,
Detached.
detached from the outcome of any single trade. Winning doesn't make you euphoric. Losing doesn't make you devastated. You just execute your plan.
Because you understand it's a game of probabilities, not certainties.
Exactly. You accept the randomness.
That subjective stage really is the crucible, isn't it? It's where the rubber meets the road, where your strategy meets your own psychology.
Definitely the make or break point for most.
And moving beyond it requires those fundamental psychological shifts. It's not just about more knowledge.
Right. And Douglas is very clear about what those shifts are. These are the actionable things. First, you absolutely have to accept risk completely.
What does that mean in practice?
It means truly understanding and accepting that any single trade could be a loser. Losses aren't failures. They're just part of the cost of doing business in an uncertain environment. Each trade is just one instance in a long series.
So no emotional baggage from the last trade affects the next one.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
And connected to that is the need to detach from the outcome.
Don't tie your self-worth to winning or losing.
Exactly. Your job is to execute your process well. Focus on that, not the immediate P&L of one trade.
Easier said than done, but crucial.
Oh, incredibly difficult. Then develop inner discipline. This is huge. Douglas defines it simply as doing what you need to do consistently, whether you feel like it or not.
Sticking to your rules no matter the emotional temptation.
Yep. Creating your trading plan and then having the discipline to follow it through thick and thin. And finally, build self-trust.
As in?
Trust in yourself to follow your rules, to manage your emotions. This trust isn't built on winning streaks necessarily. It's built on your consistent behavior, your disciplined actions.
So confidence comes from consistency of process, not just outcome.
Exactly. And as you said earlier, these aren't just tips for traders, are they? This is life stuff.
It really is universal. Think about any field with high stakes and uncertainty: surgery, sports, entrepreneurship, even parenting sometimes.
Oh,
Accepting risk, managing emotions, staying disciplined under pressure, trusting your preparation and process. These are keys to success anywhere. It's about mastering your internal state to navigate external challenges.
and he doesn't just leave it at theory. Douglas gives practical tools, right? Things you can actually do to build this inner muscle.
Yes, he does. He's big on keeping a trading journal, but not just logging trades.
Logging your thoughts and emotions around the trades. Why did you take it? How did you feel? What were you thinking when you exited?
Exactly. Becoming aware of your patterns, he also suggests mental rehearsal.
Like visualizing yourself executing trades calmly and correctly.
Precisely. You're basically practicing the desired behavior in your mind, building those neural pathways. He also mentions meditation or mindfulness.
To gain better emotional observation and control. Makes sense.
And using affirmations consciously, choosing statements to counteract those negative, limiting beliefs.
Kind of reprogramming your subconscious.
In a way, yes. And a really practical one. Take breaks, especially after an emotionally charged trade, win or lose.
Step away, reset, clear your head before jumping back in.
Yeah. Simple, but effective for breaking emotional momentum.
And these aren't just like quick fixes or mental tricks.
No, not at all. They're practices, things you have to do consistently to actually rewire your responses over time. It's about building habits of self-awareness and self-management.
So, wrapping this up, the core message from Mark Douglas seems incredibly clear. The real game isn't mastering the market.
It's mastering yourself. The challenge lies within the trader.
Right. Discipline, emotional control, self-awareness, that's where the edge comes from.
Absolutely. The market itself is neutral. It just provides opportunities. Your internal response determines whether you can capitalize on them consistently. That's why the disciplined trader is still so relevant. It's essential reading for anyone serious about long-term success, especially if you know what to do but struggle to do it consistently.
In trading or really any challenging area of life.
Any area, exactly.
So the final thought for you listening, what does this mean for you? Think about an area in your life right now where you feel tossed around by external events or where your results are inconsistent. How could applying these principles, accepting risk, detaching emotionally, building that inner discipline and self-trust, how could that change things? Where could you shift from being an emotional reactor to more of a calm, objective observer?
Something to really